Hello Year 7 and welcome to another maths video. Now today we're going to be combining the last two lessons into sort of combined lesson, okay? So before we've looked at finding the HCF, that's the highest common factor, and we've looked at finding the LCM, that's the lowest common multiple. And then the last lesson we looked at factor trees. Today we're going to learn a new way of finding the HCF and the LCM using factor trees. And this is actually much more useful, especially when we get to bigger numbers. We don't want to be listing all of the factors that we possibly can because it's going to get to a very long list. It's going to be very hard. So using factor trees can help us find an easier way of finding out what these numbers are. Okay, so as you can see on the screen here is a method that's easier and quicker for finding the HCF and LCM. Now this is quicker for big numbers, okay? It's a little slower when you're dealing with small numbers, but definitely helpful if we want to try and do harder numbers. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is write each number as a product of prime factors, okay? And first, we're going to use a factor tree as our way of finding out what those prime factors are. Okay, and then we want to look at the list of those prime factors for our two different numbers and see which are the same and different. Okay, and the common factors that are common between the two numbers will give us the HCF when we multiply them together. Okay, so we multiply the common factors together. Excuse my handwriting, to find the HCF. So that's the common, prime factors. Let me just neaten that up for you. So it's going to be the common prime factors. Multiply the common prime factors together and you will get the HCF. Okay, now to find the LCM, we use all of the factors once only to give the LCM. So multiply all of the unique factors to find the LCM. Okay, now that might not make a lot of sense just yet. Hopefully doing this example will help you understand what that means. Okay, so here's our example. We've got the numbers 300 and 630. We want to find what the HCF, the highest common factor of these two numbers is, and we want to find what the LCM of these two factors, that is the lowest common multiple. The first thing we're going to do is write them as a product of their prime factors. Okay, remember product just means multiply together. And we're going to use do that by using factor trees. So we're going to start with 300. And remember how we do this. We split it up into its prime numbers. And whenever we don't have a prime, we split it up even more. Remember, our low prime numbers can be helpful. So 2, 3, 5, and 7 are good places to start when we're trying to think, how can I split this number up? So firstly, 300 I know can be split by 2. And we know that 2 is a prime number, so we can circle. And then the other number that pairs with 2 is going to be 150, because 150 times 2 equals 300, or 300 divided by 2 equals 150. And I know I can split 150 up with 2 as well. Okay, so we've got 2, 2, and 75. Now 75 can't be split up by 2, but it can be split up by 3. So I can write it as 3 and 25. Now 25 can't be split up by 2, 3, but it can be split up with 5 and 5 again. So we've done our factor tree for 300. So 300 equals, we're going to write it as a product of its prime factors. So it's going to be 2 times 2 times 3 times 5 times 5. Now this is the same as in index form, 2 to the power of 2 times 3 times 5 to the power of 2. Okay, so we've done part A for 300. We've now got to do it for 630. So first, split it up. Let's do 2 first. That's going to be 315. Just dividing 630 by 2. Okay, now this number here, this is going to get a little tricky. I can't split it up by 2, but I can split it up by 3. Now, the way that I think about this is 300 can be split up by 3, and 15 can be split up by 3. So when I split 300 by 3, I get 100. When I split 15 by 3, I get 5. So that means I can split this up as 3 and 105. So you can see my thought process and how I split that up. Okay, 105, 3 can't go into 105. Oh, yes, it can actually. So let's split it up a different way though, just to show you that you don't always have to do it with the smallest number. So I know that 5 can go into this number, okay, because it ends in 5. And I know that 5 goes into 120 times, which means that it's going to go into 105 21 times. So I'm left to do 21, and then I can split 21 up with 3 and with 7. So I could have actually split up 105 by 3, and I would have got 35, but this is another way of doing it too. So now I can write it out. So 630 equals product of all its prime factors, which is 2 times 3 times 5 times 3 times 7. And you can see here there are 2 3's. So it equals 2 times 3 squared times 5 times 7. And we've got to our written out in prime factors. So we've done part A. Now part B and C, this is where it gets interesting. We want to find the HCF. So if we go just back up here, we multiply the common prime factors together to find HCF. So we've got to think, what are all the common prime factors? So they each have a 2. However, 630 only has 1 2 in it. So the common ones, we're going to have 2. And then 300 has 630 has 2 3's, but 300 only has 1 3. So we're going to just use 1 3 there. And then 300 has 5, and 630 has 1 5. So we can include that here. Now 630 has a 7, but 300 doesn't. So we've included all of the common prime factors, and we've included as many as there are common in both of them. So if one of them only has 1 2, but the other one has 2, we just include one of those, okay? Just the common factors, okay? Now when I multiply this together, I get the HCF. So 2 times 3 is 6 times 5 is 30. And what do you know? 30 is the highest common factor. I challenge you to find a common factor between 300 and 630 that is higher than 30. I don't think you can do it. 30 is going to have to be the highest common factor. Now, to find the LCM, we're going to multiply all of the unique factors to find the LCM. So whenever we have a new factor, we're going to multiply that, and that will give us the lowest common multiple. So the easiest way to do this is to pick, let me just see. So we need to pick a number and make sure that we, whenever we pick one of them, we cross out one on the other. So the LCM equals, let's start with the smaller one here. You're going to pick 2. Okay, and whenever we pick the 2, we can cross out the 2 on the other one. Okay, and then we've got to include another 2 because this one has another 2. Okay, I can include this 3 here. Whenever I include that 3, I can cross out a 3 over here. And then I can include this 5. And I can cross out a 5 over here. Okay, but you see, I've got to include this 3 again because I was only able to cross out 1 over here. I've got to include this 5 as well, the second 5. And I've got to include this 7 at the end. So when I multiply these all together, I will get the lowest common multiple. You see here, whenever I've included a factor of one of these numbers, I've crossed it out if it's one of the factors on the other numbers. I've just gone through and included all of the factors. Okay, so you can include double ups, just make sure you're not doubling up across the numbers here. Okay, so 2 times 2 is 4. Let's use a calculator for this one. We can bring our calculator across. So we get 2 times 2 times 3 times 5 times 3 times 5 times 7. And we get this number here, 6,300. So let's just check that that is a multiple of these two numbers. Now it's obviously going to be a multiple of 630 because 630 times 10 equals that. And it should be a multiple of 300 as well. So times 21 is a multiple. So this is going to be our lowest common multiple between the two numbers. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Good luck with the practice questions. Again, if you have any issues in doing these questions, contact me on the group chat on Microsoft Teams, and I'm happy to answer any questions to clarify anything that you have. If you're having any issues logging in to any of the things, please get in contact and I'll help you out. But until the next time, I'll see you in the next video.